Hey Dewey, how's it going?
Doing fine, Mark.
Good to see you. Dewey, much what I read lately says we're in a new paradigm regarding grain prices. What's AgWatch's take on that?
Well, Mark, AgWatch's take on the strength in the grain prices is that most people believe or under the impression that we have seen grain prices strengthen because of the growth in the ethanol industry. We will give ethanol its due that the publicity surrounding it has certainly helped, but let's go back and look and see where the seeds were actually planted. The seeds for this strength in this grain market, Mark, were planted back in about 2001. Back in 2001 is when the dollar peaked. When the dollar peaked is when we started seeing inflation come into the commodity markets in general. You had your crude oil between 2001 and 2006, grew about 350%. Gold market rallied about 180%, and the grain prices were still a sub $2 level. Well, back in the fall of 2005, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission increased the speculative position limits on corn, soybeans, and wheat. In corn, they raised the speculative position limits from 9,500 contracts to 22,000 contracts. At that time at AgWatch, we knew that since the gold market and the crude oil markets were peaking out, that the commodity funds, where are they going to go and park their money? They're going to park their money in the commodities that are the cheapest. Your grains were the cheapest. Corn was at sub $2 level. In early 2006 is when the rally began in corn, and we've seen prices come up nearly 135% since. So in our opinion, the grain rally actually started in 2001 rather than in 2006 because of the increase in speculative position limits of the commodity funds.
Dewey, what's the greatest threat facing agriculture?
Mark, in AgWatch's opinion, the greatest threat facing agriculture today is terrorism and politics, and it's not necessarily in that particular order. Oh, hi. I'm Dewey Strickler, AgWatch Market Advisors. If you look in the back here, you see a field of corn. Some people might refer to it as a field of dreams because of the optimism, opportunity regarding ethanol industry and so forth. Over the past couple of years, ethanol has had tremendous growth. Brazil has had tremendous success in the ethanol industry. But there's a big difference between corn-based and sugar-based ethanol. Consider this. Ethanol produces 76,000 BTUs of energy. To produce that 76,000 BTUs of energy with corn-based ethanol, it requires 60,000 BTUs of energy. That does not include the cost of transporting the corn from the Midwest to the refineries in the Southeast, in New Orleans, on the Atlantic coast, and on the Pacific coast. Sugar-based ethanol requires 20,000 BTUs of energy. There's a big difference there. Let's consider this. If you have a standard V6 200 horsepower engine in your automobile, if you use gasoline, the average miles per gallon is about 28 miles per gallon. If you use E85, it's about 18 miles to the gallon. There's a huge difference there. The normal consumer drives approximately 15,000 miles per year. With this under consideration, it would require approximately $180 to $400 more per year for the consumer to use E85 ethanol as opposed to gasoline. Our opinion at AgWatch is that ethanol, corn-based ethanol, is going to go through some growing pains. But in the end, it's going to be the consumer who determines the success of corn-based ethanol in this country.